Are you looking for the latest cutting-edge products and trends shaping the future of the aluminum industry? Then you need to be at Aluminum USA. The industry's most exciting event takes place this May 28th and 29th at Music City Center in vibrant Nashville, Tennessee. Meet with leading manufacturers and suppliers, learn about new innovations and trends, and network with old and new peers at our opening night party at Honky Tonk Central, located on world-famous Broadway Street. Plus, for the first time, Aluminum USA attendees get free access to the co-located Fastener Fair USA show, offering more business opportunities than ever. Don't miss out on this opportunity to take your business to the next level. Aluminum USA, May 28th and 29th at Music City Center. Register to attend now at aluminiumusa2025.com/podcast for a free badge. That's aluminiumusa2025.com/podcast.
Guys, how's everything going? Okay, today we have a solo episode of Dirty Scrap. I was trying to make an analysis of the meeting between President Donald Trump and the Prime Minister of Canada. Was a very interesting meeting. Mostly was Donald Trump talking about or answering some of the questions that the people was let's say throwing to him, and he was mostly focusing on on this relationship between Canada and US, but he was very strong in some, very, I will say, critical points for our industry, the aluminum industry, and the metal industry, the recycling industry. Sorry. So I was thinking about making like an analysis video, but at the end of the day was 30 minutes meeting, and then they were talking about so many different topics. So I'm going to focus on just two or three different topics. First one is, and the idea is to understand what is Donald Trump trying to do with all these different approaches that he is putting right now on the table. And Canada is our I will say is United States' biggest partner right now, right? It's right there. So we are not the same country, but actually one of the topics is, okay, Donald Trump wants Canada to become the 51 state here in the US, right? So why he wants that, or what is his offering right now to Canada? Okay, he's saying, okay, lower tax rates for Canadian people, obviously military protection that actually United States is offering this already, but he's talking about, okay, we will keep for free like a huge military protection for Canada because it's going to be our not anymore our partner, but same country, right? I don't think this is going to happen, but from the strategic point of view, obviously you will have no tariff, you will control, and this is the issue. He wants to control obviously the supply chain that we have right now between Canada and US. And also he's offering obviously better life quality to Canadian people. Obviously the prime minister says no. He says, okay, you are a guy that been in the what is the name? Sorry, I forgot. Well, but buying houses and properties, right? So he said, as some properties I are not to sell, is the same thing with Canada. We are saying no, and this guy Donald Trump says, never say never, and I am totally agree. I am not seeing Canada becoming the 51 state, but definitely the pressure that we have, and we already talked about this in some videos, previous videos. We've been talking about this with Robin, the president of the RIMA, also with Chuck Johnson, the president of the Aluminum Association, and we went through all the tariff and what is going on right now from the aluminum economy point of view. So I don't want to go into that again. But okay, first thing was like, okay, let's talk about Canada becoming the 51 state. Then they were talking about what we as Americans, the American country wants from Canada, and practically Trump says nothing. We don't want your cars. We want to start building our own cars. Actually, Honda I think, is moving to the U.S. I think was Aston Martin that is also trying to get into this business into the U.S. to avoid tariff and start selling more and more cars here in the United States. So we don't want your cars. So we will start building more and more car manufacturing plants here So we will try to make those people to come here and start building everything here, so they have no tariff, but also they will create again this industry that we supposed to have in the U.S. long time ago, and we just put it on the third parties because was too expensive to make everything here. So let's talk about aluminum. He also said, and I love the way that he is approaching to this, not because I am against or in favor. It is what it is. This is what we have right now. So I think it is very important for us to understand where we are and where we are going with everything that is, the new administration proposing right now. So he said, I don't want your aluminum. And remember, Canada is the biggest, for us, for United States, is the biggest, I will say, supplier. I don't want to say partner. Is the biggest supplier of aluminum for the U.S. market. It's huge supplier. Remember that United States just make, I think, around 2% of the primary aluminum of the world. Canada is huge. I will say that is the second one, or the third one, with China being the first one, and maybe Russia also. Between Canada, they can be like between the second and the third place, right? So Canada is huge on primary aluminum, but 80% of the aluminum that we have here in the U.S. is recyclable aluminum. So it's aluminum that already went to the final user, scrapyard, processing, boom, we have aluminum again. So I really believe that going in the direction that Donald Trump is going, saying, I don't want your aluminum, I don't want your steel, we are forcing two different monsters. We are forcing Canada to trying to export more and more outside, not into the US, but with other countries. But it's not easy because of Canada position, but also this is something that we need to take in account because United States needs more foundries, more scrappers becoming partners with some secondary aluminum producers, but also scrappers turning into secondary aluminum productions. And I've been talking about this for already, I think, already 2 years. I've been talking about this for the last 2 years because we need to understand the importance that we have right now in our hands. So, saying that, remember, we still have a lot of, I will say, we have a lot of activities to do. We have a lot of work to do in order to grow the aluminum recycling rates as we want by 2034. So we have almost 10 years more to get into those rates. But the only way to do it is, first of all, understanding that we are lacking of recyclable capacity here. That's why we have so many landfills. Also, we need to understand that even though if we have flexibility right now, clean aluminum, green aluminum, CO2, low CO2 aluminum is something that we really want to require. The OEM, they are asking for green aluminum and they are willing to pay more. So we have two different directions right now. The first one is, okay, how we can make more aluminum out of the aluminum that we already have in the market. Simple. We need to invest into the US. How? We need to understand the technology, the process. We need to understand how to be more efficient on sorting and segregation, because that allowed us to be more efficient on the point of view, or on the approach of melting rate. Remember, melting rate is not something that, oh, I can melt 2 tons per hour. No, melting rates needs to be very tight with how much aluminum I can recover on those 2 tons per hour that I am melting. And the way to get into the higher numbers, of course, it is sorting, cleaning, and segregation, because I can avoid contamination, so I can avoid dross generation, oxide. So that's what I want. But also we need to understand technology. United States been in this industry for so many different years, and we have third parties helping us, but also we been during the years too flexible. I mean, we were not, asking for super green aluminum like the European market. We were not asking about, okay, we need to improve our technology and our efficiency. So at the end of the day, we need to understand this approach in the United States, and we need to become more and more efficient. So we need to invest. I know that right now the economy is a little bit crazy, or better, is super crazy, but people is not investing as the pace that I was, let's say, waiting for, right? I was waiting for more people to invest faster in this market with this opportunity. Why? Remember, it's not just about how much money I need to invest, it's also about how much time time I need in order to make everything happen and start making money out of my investment. So we need to understand that building or rebuilding the industrial infrastructure here in the U.S. is going to take, depending on the industry, but 2 3 years. So we need to take advantage of this. We have a lot of aluminum out there, a lot of aluminum we have out there, and we will see more and more companies like or industries demanding more aluminum. Aerospace, EVs is still something. And even though if we want to start making more and more cars here, and we don't want Canada cars, and we don't want these European companies coming here with the cars without paying the tariff, so we will manufacture definitely more cars here. Aerospace, buildings, solar panels, everything that is involving different alternative energy sources, we will need aluminum. And also, we need to make a dedicated episode to talk about rare earth elements and chips, and because it's another story and it's crazy what is happening right now, right? But let's focus on aluminum. So we don't want your aluminum, we don't want your steel, we don't want your cars. That's what Donald Trump said to the prime minister, Canadian prime minister. And this guy was like rock solid, right? He was like, okay, we are not for sale, we don't care, you do what you want to do, we will actually. And this is something that we need to, let's say, I mean, it's something that is putting us in risk. Why? Because remember that we use a lot of energy that is coming from Canada on the north. So New York and this north Boston, they are using Canadian energy. So probably they are shooting down this energy supply. So probably we will have some blackouts. So let's see how everything is going to move in the direction that Donald Trump wants to move. But I think this is something very strategically, or he is moving in a very strategic direction. He wants to put a lot of pressure on the market, so the market will react in the benefit of the United States. That means, or we will have, I would say, better tariff agreement, or we will need to invest fast in order to recover the economy here in the US and improve this economy. Now, saying that, how easy it is? It's not that easy, but it's doable. Yes, it is. Also, we need to understand that we need to keep sustainability approaches every time, because we are seeing a lot of people talking about the new flexibility that we have is going to reactivate the mining and fracking. That's fine, but definitely green aluminum is going to, or green approaches. Those approaches are going to be more and more, I will say, let's say, required, right? And people is going to be willing to pay more for the green things that you are putting into the market. Let's talk about the aluminum, just aluminum. So green aluminum means that you will reduce the energy consumption during the aluminum manufacturing process. That means that you need to go for recycling rate, definitely, because you're just going to consume 5% of the energy that you need from the primary sector. It's a crazy, let's say, unbalance when you see the amount of energy that you need for primary sectors to become, reliable and make aluminum out of the mining process. Is a huge amount of energy. Even though with the technology that we are seeing right now out there, like plasma burners and everything, even though still, it's a huge, it's super energy intense. Now, also, it's creating a lot of CO2 emissions, and I don't want to go in that direction about the environmental regulations and talking about the CO2, let's say, percentage in the atmosphere. But definitely, if we create it less, it's good. And if we are more sustainable, obviously, it's going to be better. So we need to understand that the future of the aluminum industry in the United States is secondary aluminum producers. Secondary aluminum producers is not, I don't think so, is not the primary sector. Remember that we are just producing 2% of the primary aluminum in the world, just 2%. We don't want to raise that percentage too much. Why? If we have a lot of aluminum in the US that we can take advantage, instead of sending this aluminum out of the United States, what we can do is to improve our recycling capabilities and then create more and more internal aluminum for internal use. So that's the approach right now. So how we can go in this direction? First of all, we need to understand the market very well. Secondly, we need to understand the industries that are involved into this, let's say, aluminum demanding, right? Then we need to understand the technology that we have out there in order to improve our recycling rates and reduce the flexibility that we have right now between landfills and I will say CO2 emissions, energy consumption. Remember, at the end of the day, we have a lot of different approaches from the technology point of view that will allow us to reduce energy consumption, to reduce contaminant content, to increase recycling rates, but also to avoid flexibility. That if we are able to avoid flexibility, we will be forced, or we will force ourselves to recycle even more and rise up those rates, right? So that's the first approach. We need to understand the industry. We need to understand very well the technology, but also we need to understand the process. Understanding the process will allow us to understand how we can approach into the recycling aluminum transformation industry that is totally different from just scrap yards, right? So, oh, sorry. So I think that's the first thing that we need to understand: our market, the technology that is available for us, and how fast we can create a company that will allow us to make, let's say, more aluminum out of the aluminum that is in the market, but also in the most efficient way, but also something that will allow us to start supporting the economy here, so we are not depending on third party. Now, once we know the niche, or once we understand the market and the process and the industry, we need to go to those trade shows right now. Is right now is the moment. We need to go to those trade shows and start talking about, how I can improve my scrap, how I can make more value added out of it, how I can start talking about, okay, what is the investment that I need, how I can grow my company, maybe not just from one day to another, but in steps. So that will allow us to understand the level of investment, how fast that I can grow, and then how fast I can turn my scrap into something that is more valuable, but also is giving to the industry more value added because it's produced here, and green aluminum and all this different stuff. And also will this will help obviously the industry to grow. So United States is going to grow on the aluminum side definitely, and maybe this will help to, I don't know, to Canada to make a different decision. I don't want to talk about, okay, Canada should become like the 51 state. Not something that I will, let's say, able to talk about it, but it's something that they need to think about it definitely. So again, market, technology, process, and then we need to go to all these trade shows and start talking with the people and seeing, okay, what is happening right now, what's going on, what we can do in order to improve the industry as it is right now, as it is today. What are those recycling rates that we are right now, or we have right now in the United States, and how we can improve those recycling rates? What is the most demanding aluminum semi-finished products that the industry is claiming? Is aluminum billets, is aluminum ingots, is aluminum saws, depending on the industry. Is for extrusion, is for die casting, or foundries, or is for EV manufacturers? Or this is the questions that we need to start, let's say, asking to ourselves after everything that happened in that meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister. Definitely, we can see that Donald Trump is going in a direction, and he is not turning back. He's straightforward. So, in order for us to understand how to support this industry, I am not talking about supporting from the political point of view. I'm talking about the industry that we are immersed, is understanding. Obviously, if nothing happened right now, right, is something. If something start moving in a different direction and we start like having more and more aluminum from the outside, definitely. Even though we will need to create more aluminum foundries or aluminum secondary producers, because if we are receiving more aluminum from the outside, definitely we will have more aluminum for recycling processes. So this is the way that we need to think: process, technology, associations. So this is the way that we need to, let's say, go in order to support the industry. So this was like a solo episode. I was just thinking about giving my opinion to you guys, giving to you like some data about recycling. Definitely we need to increase recycling rates. We have more aluminum out there than the aluminum that we can process and reuse. So we need to understand that it's a huge opportunity here. So go to the trade shows, talk to the people, start thinking about how I can make more money and how I can make a better value added product out of the scrap that I am dealing with. And then you will understand how to support this industry. So let's see what is going to happen. This month we have good trade shows. So go there, talk with people, talk with the people that been in the industry for a long time, so they can give you some more and more, let's say, approaches for you to understand how to, increase or help this industry. And let's see what's going on, because President Trump is rock solid on what he is doing. And if we don't move forward faster and in a really, really, let's say, conscious direction, the opportunity that we have in the aluminum industry in the US gone. It's gone. So we don't want that to happen, right? Just we want to support the industry as much as we can, from the technology point of view, from the automation point of view, from the recycling rates point of view. It doesn't matter, but we need to do it. So, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me and exchange some information about it. I really want you guys to give some comments about what do you think about it's going to happen with Canada and the aluminum and the tariff. Give me as much as feedback as you want, so I can just again give you as much as information from my point of view and what I am seeing in the market, so we can start exchanging more and more and more, so we will have more knowledge to grow this industry. Guys, thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day. Bye bye.